It is now time to lock down the dangerous Hurricane Milton. It is now 8 hours before landfall, and I'm going to come in and lock this storm down. Okay, let's now focus on where Milton will be going. Our cone is now from Clearwater down to Englewood and the Port Charlotte region. From A to B is 113 miles. Here's going to be the pocket where Milton comes in. Now, if you take the middle of this cone, that puts Sarasota right in the middle. And if that's the case, this would be the track of Hurricane Milton. Understand, when it comes ashore, it's not going to come straight across. It's going to be lifting to the northeast. So this will be the track. So let's say the National Hurricane Center gets a bullseye, which is going to be right here. This will be ground zero. This will be the hardest hit region. You always go about 20 to 30 miles off the right side of a storm coming ashore to find the worst damage, which we call ground zero. So Sarasota, if they get it, here is where ground zero would be. Okay, now let's look at Clearwater, because the storm could still drift to Clearwater. Okay? And that would be absolutely catastrophic storm surge. That's been the big fear for the last 3 days. Hitting Clearwater would put ground zero at St. Pete, and with all that surge being pushed through the bay into Tampa, you're going to have a Katrina-like event. So, really hoping it comes in here and even further to the south to eliminate catastrophic storm surge. Alright? So, again, 113 miles from A to B, it's going to come in here somewhere. Alright? It's going to track like this. I put yellow all here. Is the box that's going to get the most damage. Always focus on the right side of the storm. If this does become the track, all in the here are going to get it real bad. You got to understand something about Tampa. They have not been hit in over 100 years. And the reason why I was really focusing on this track and making sure I'm not coming in too early is because I have two storms that haunt me. The National Hurricane Center had their worst modern day forecast with Hurricane Charlie in 2004. Charlie was supposed to hit Tampa. They were evacuating. It came in way to the south. Fort Myers, actually Punta Gorda. All right, south of here, 109 miles south of Tampa. Caught that region with their pants down. You can go back. I have a video for that storm and many others, but that was 2004. And then Ian, which was not that long ago, Hurricane Ian was also supposed to hit Tampa and came in right around here. And Tampa dodged another one. Now, I'm not bringing this up to say, well, I want Tampa to get it. I don't want anyone to get it. So the combination of Helene showing them what 7 feet of storm surge means, because they got it, and then they see 180 mile an hour winds from Milton on Monday. So, and I'm not laughing here, I'm just saying the evacuation process was made a lot easier for Florida officials. They didn't have to ask twice. These people were getting in a car and going before they even were asking or talking about evacuations. So everyone's off this coast. All right? There should be no fatalities. There should be no one here. The coastline's going to be altered. That's how strong this storm is. All right. Now let's focus again on the track coming through here. All right? In the interior, in the middle of the state, you got to keep your phones charged up. When the storm comes ashore, you should have your phone charged up all night because tornadoes are going to be working. You need a charged phone to check your phone for tornadoes updates. And if one drops down in your neighborhood, you'll get informed. There'll be a tornado warning, and you need to shelter in an interior room. Far from windows, with as many walls between you and the outside on a lowest level, if you have 2-story, obviously, lowest level of your dwelling, okay? That's what's coming, all right? Hurricane Milton is coming. And now what I want to do is share good news. Because it was such doom and gloom. I mean, it's still going to be a really, really bad storm. But if this holds up, Tampa's going to dodge the catastrophic event that we all fear in this business. So I want to go back now and remind you of how the winds work in my brain. Now, when I saw a 180 mile per hour storm in the southern Gulf of Mexico, a couple hundred miles from Florida, yeah, that's scary. But I also understand, and I keep trying to preach this, you don't focus on winds until it's coming in. And it's down to about 130, and now it's getting real close. I don't expect it to flare back up to 150. I mean, it might do 140, but now you're dealing with a different creature. The takeaway here is, if 180 held up, and it happened once in this state in 1935, 185 mile per hour hit the Labor Day hurricane. So if that storm would have maintained its intensity at 180 and the pressure dropped below 900, which is top 4 ever recorded, 897, you're talking about a whole different animal. You're talking about everything in here uninhabitable. A surge would have come roaring in, because the higher the wind speed when the storm comes in, the stronger the push of the onshore winds that are going to drive the Gulf up inland. All right? 180 versus what you're going to get, let's just say 140, and that might be a little high. I don't like predicting winds. All right? It's substantially lower. And forget about categories, people. And here's the point with that. When I watch other YouTube channels, not to knock them, all right, it's scripted. Whoever's reporting on the media, they have a script on what they can say. And they have a style of the way they handle cones. And I hate looking at cones with category numbers. And you'll see a cone, it'll be, okay, category 3, then as it goes closer to land, it says maybe 2. Please, don't do that. This is why. People see, oh, it's a category 4 now. If the storm drops, and this storm's been all over the place. This storm peaked at 180 and might come in at 120. That's a very big range in a couple days span. In the Gulf of Mexico, it's been kind of all over the place. These winds, I mean, could have just been so bad. A category 5 is 157 miles per hour. So they update hurricanes in 5 mile per hour increments. You'll never see a hurricane be at 140 and then have it intensified at 142. They round. So when they go back in the storm, it was 140 and now it's measuring 143. They'll just round it up to 145. The point being, 155 mile per hour storm, that's a Cat 5. It's only a couple miles per hour, below the threshold. So I don't like focusing on categories. All right? Just focus on the winds. What are they? Well, you're going to get between 120 and let's just say 150 to keep it safe. The higher the winds, the worse the surge. But again, people are off this water. This is all about inland now. This is all about people in the middle that live in trailers, that live in different dwellings that are not built to withstand the winds they're going to get. So this is going to be a huge event for the middle of the state. They're going to get possibly 100-mile-an-hour winds in here. And they have topography similar to Northwest Florida, the Big Bend region. They have a lot of those top-heavy trees as well. On our coastlines in South Florida, whether on the west or east coast, we have primarily palm trees, which are amazing trees, and I have seen them survive Category 5s. All right, so that's the situation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brace for impact.